Hey guys, today's strategy session is with an Emerald 4 support main wanting to get to Diamond 1, Diamond 2, as well as join their pro team. So he's got a barrier of needing to get to Diamond to join the pro team. He's based in South Africa, currently plays in the EU West server, and this is our conversation on exactly how to get there with free and paid coaching methods. If you're interested in coaching from us, I'm Dylan from lolcoach.academy. Please check out the links in the description below. We have affordable options with free trials, subscriptions starting at $2.99 a month, all the way up to private one-on-one coaching sessions. But let's get into the video. So you found me through YouTube. That's pretty cool. I'm glad you, came across me.
Yeah, that was quite nice. I saw you had a quick session with someone. I was also curious on some of the things I can work on.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sharing screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, perfectly.
Sweet. So I've got your current rank up of Emerald 4. You've got a goal rank that you listed of like D1, 2. You're a sup main. You've got a pretty big champ pool. And then you listed kind of 3 things that are top of mind for you in terms of holding you back from climbing. Obviously, this one we probably can't do too much about, but I think the mechanics and game sense are definitely 2 things you can work on in your own time, as well as, a coach can help that with that as well. So, firstly, is there anything you're currently doing to improve in League of Legends, like anything active?
So besides just keeping up with pro play and some of the challenger support mains, mechanically, I don't have much time to work with besides just playing the actual game, because I get maybe like 2-3 hours a day to play.
Yeah.
But in terms of like game sense, it's definitely keeping up with pro play, keeping up with some of the pro streamers and see how they prioritize rotating and which objectives and vision control and stuff.
Excellent. And do you feel like you can learn from watching others? Like that's a pretty effective way for you to learn?
Not for pro play necessarily, because I see that like in pro play, engage supports and your tanky type of supports are the main thing that's going on here. But in solo queue, I almost never find success with them because I think it's hard to get your teammates to follow up with your engage, or maybe the engages are just bad. It could be that, but I think Enchanter seems to just be so much more consistent as just happening.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. It's always good to, I guess, have an engage support in your champ pool for when, you get the occasional Samira or Draven or something like that, and you can tell they want to be aggressive. But I think, as you've said, I think for climbing in solo queue, particularly up to like D1, D2, you can definitely do it with an enchanter-based pool. And so I think that's completely fine. And then you kind of learn the engaged champ and you play it a bit, but it's not really part of your main roster. So that makes sense. Cool. And the goal rank, is that just attached to solo queue? Are you wanting to get into a team or anything like that?
Yes. So South Africa, there is so surprisingly enough, there are a few diamond players actually in South Africa. And there is a team in South Africa, but they kind of require that I be diamond. Emerald's good, but they also prefer diamond. But yeah, the reason I put D1, D2 is just to be like comfortably in diamond, not just scraping into diamond, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Okay, cool. And do they verse other South African teams, or do they play European teams, or who would they verse?
They definitely play against European teams, even despite the ping disadvantage.
Okay.
They play against European teams because, again, well, yeah, it's better because it should be with that disadvantage, and also they like to play against the upper ranks, diamonds. It's rare that they get masters, but mainly diamond European teams.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's awesome. So you definitely want to play competitive, like even if it's that not casual, but it's not pro. It's kind of that in between.
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So, talking about mechanics and game sense, do you want to go? I guess we talked about the engage thing a bit. Did you want to ask any more about this kind of comment here, or are you pretty okay with that?
So I mean, I don't know what I don't know. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen some of the OP.GGs. I don't know if maybe there's a mentality around playing engaged supports. Like, is it always better to, look for things early, playing from behind? Like maybe there are some things that I'm not too familiar on. I do notice that I die a lot more on the engaged supports, but it almost feels like it can't be helped because no one else is doing the engaging. But yeah, I don't know if this is like a mentality, because I see some of the upper rank players, they really love their pikes, their rakans and stuff. um yeah, I just don't know if I'm missing something, or is it just better to try and get on the enchanters?
Yeah, I think there's a few ways I could answer that. I think one, engaged supports have a bit of a mentality of they're very quick to know, firstly, when a good engage is. So they read the signals of their AD carry wanting to have an engage. The biggest problem with engaged supports and why they die too much is they think it's a great engage timer and their AD carry is clueless. Now, that might be because the AD carry doesn't want to engage. They simply don't know what they don't know. Like, they don't know Pike wants to go for an all in at level 2. Or they simply just, you don't communicate to them that you want to engage, but they're actually really keen. They're just focusing so hard on farm, they don't see you've got a great angle. So I think it
Mm.
comes down to usually like communication, particularly in solo queue. Like, if you want to engage, what I would do is I'd be pinging engage, and then you see how your AD carry reacts, either with their
Okay.
pings back or their posturing. If they're ready to go, then you're ready to go. And same with
Mm.
team fights. It's all about, what does your team actually want to do? Just because you've got a great hook angle, well, can your team actually follow up? Because a great hook angle is only as useful as the team who follows up. Because a Nort, a Leona, a Thresh, they're never going to be able to kill the whole team with a great hook. It's all about your
Mm.
team's follow up. So I think that's probably the number one thing, is having game sense around what you want to do, what your team wants to do, and then communicating what you want to do and seeing how your team adjusts, if that makes sense.
Mm. Now that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in solo queue, look, I wouldn't. If your goal is to get to diamond so we can get into this pro team, I would honestly leave engaged supports on the back burner, and then I would try and learn them in a scrim environment, or in an environment where you're now partnered up with your AD carry and you're practicing
Mm.
certain matchups. And so maybe you have a matchup where it's like, you know, I don't know, Nort Draven is one of your matchups, or like Samira Leona. You know, you're trying to practice something heavy engage. Well, then you can do it with an AD carry who you're on comms with, and you can really practice it and get it up to kind of like a team play potential. And that would be my
Mm.
recommendation from what I've seen with players in the past in your situation, where they're wanting to develop extra champs or a certain champion type for pro play, but they're not in that team yet, or sorry, competitive or team play.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Cool. So going on to the next one, game sense. Game sense always has to just do with map awareness, and then coming back to kind of what I said earlier, understanding what you want to do, understanding what your
Mm.
team wants to do, and then understanding what your enemy wants to do. Because vision
Mm.
is information, right? But if your team
Mhm.
doesn't want to use the information, let's say you're really focused on getting vision for dragon bot side, but your team's all pinging Rift Herald top, it's like, well, why am I getting vision on bot if my whole team's top? And so it'd be much better maybe to get the vision on top, or use that time to get deep vision in their jungle while the enemy's doing dragon and you're doing rift. And I just gave a very specific example there, but it's really just about understanding timers. So like, okay, dragon spawning in 30 seconds, dragon spawning in 60 seconds, chuck a floater out there, like ping the dragon spawning in 30 seconds, because that's maybe the objective you want to do. See if your whole team agrees with the tick boxes. If they don't, okay, cool. Let's not maybe prioritize that objective. Let's just focus on, maybe I can get a roam off top, or I just sit bot, defend my AD carry, and we just give drag, or I rotate to grubs. So it's again just not autopiloting, I think, is the biggest thing. And having an app like Mobalytics, Overwolf, anything that shows the timers on your minimap. Like, have you heard of any of those extensions?
Yes, I do use Mobalytics in game.
Yeah, so that should be enough for you in terms of understanding when objectives are spawning. And then it's all just about communication and understanding what your team wants to do and what the enemy wants to do and how you can participate in that, which as an enchanter support is showing up and getting vision, usually. Does that
makes sense.
Yeah, does that make sense? Any questions on that?
I'm curious, just situations that I run into a lot is, well, like around objectives is mainly with the grubs early game.
Yep.
With grubs, often like supports are roaming more often now,
Yep.
and the wave is normally not in a good space for me to be able to go rotate to the grubs, and we will either guarantee a kill bot or we trade the grubs, and I'm not sure where the value is. I know it can be team comp dependent, but sometimes I feel like, oh man, they've got like 3 grubs and now we have to fight the next one. Yeah, I just don't know if it's worth always to just rotate to the grubs almost always, or it's probably always game dependent, but I find more often than not that it feels like I should rotate.
Yeah, it's a good point. I would think I'd look at it more as what's the highest success play. So is the kill on bot lane easier to execute than the grubs, as an example? Like, so, if you're already bot and your jungler is now starting grubs, and so for you to get to grubs, you'd have to walk, for 30 seconds all the way to top side. Well, you've probably got a better chance of getting the kill bot, right? But let's say you're planning, okay, I've got a timer now of going bot lane or to grubs. Again, you got to look at wave state, you got to look at your AD carry's competency, and you've got to look at the win con. If your jungler's 3-0 and your AD carry 0-3, maybe you rotate to grubs because bot lane's already lost. And so just leave him in the 2v1. If he dies, he loses, you lose 150 gold for his kill. And you go for the grub. So it is game dependent, but it's very easy to identify what's the best play based on who is the win con on your team, because supports, sometimes the AD carry is not the win con, and the quicker you realize that as a support, the better or higher chance you have of like coming back in a game where you've lost lane.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So I think if you can get the kill, or you can get like 2 plates and a kill or something, and then you can zone him off the next wave because the enemy support roamed, and that's the highest success play because you're already bot side and you just can't get to grubs in time, yes. But I honestly think grubs are very OP at the moment, and so if you have a choice, I would probably go grubs if it's like honestly a 50-50. But then you're kind of trusting your AD carry to be a 2v1. Which is always interesting in solo queue.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I'll keep that in mind.
Excellent. Okay, let's get on to a bit of a plan. So Emerald 4 to Diamond 2, usually that takes, the shortest time I've seen that happen is like 4 to 6 months, and that's like very rare. That's like not many people. And usually it can be 1 to 2 years for the average kind of player. Obviously, coaching and like determination and your own self-drive can influence and affect that, but you're looking at a bit of a long period. I think Diamond 1, 2 by the end of this season is probably pretty achievable. I think Diamond 4 is probably your first goal you should really have and set yourself on, because that could be a 1 to 3 month journey. So I would really set your eyes on that first, and then almost rethink, the Diamond 4 to Diamond 1. Does this need a new strategy? Can I keep doing more of what I want to do? Can I, now join the team, and then I can accelerate my learning even faster in a team play environment, bring that over to solo queue, duo queue with my AD carry or my jungle, all those kind of things. That's kind of my first way in terms of looking at the overall strategy of, you're wanting to get from point A to point B. Then I would think, okay, well, how are you going to get there? Right now, in my opinion, I think you're playing too many champions. Obviously, you've only played 66 ranked games, so, that's fine. But the fact that you don't have, like, a main champ OTPing is, like, a little concerning with such an ambitious goal. The way 99% of Emerald players climb to Diamond for the first time is one-tricking. And I know your situation is different because you want to develop a champion pool that you can bring to competitive, but I would almost argue that you kind of want to get to Diamond as fast as possible and then use a Diamond learning environment to like fix your other champs that you maybe want to focus on a bit more, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't think you have to one trick, but just think of it like one tricking is statistically the fastest way to climb in League of Legends. Then you add another champion, that adds a bit more time. Add another champion, a bit more time. 4 champions, more time. 5 champions, more time. And so look at it from, okay, how quickly do I want to get to my goal? And, how do I want to get there? Am I okay with 1 champion? Do I want to play 2? Do I want to play 3? And just know that that's always going to add time to your journey. And that's fine if that's how you want to play and develop as a player. And that's honestly how I prefer players to develop, is take a little bit longer to get to your gold rank or diamond or whatever, but you now have 2 to 3 champions you can play confidently at a diamond level rather than just 1 champion.
No, I hear you. The reason for the champion pool is just the I also try to pick depending on the game, because Lulu is completely broken right now.
Yep.
So if I'm not first pick, I'll ban her, and then it's a toss up between Milio and Nami, based on that. But the other supports like Braum is almost exclusively for when they pick Misfortune, and Leona as well, for like if they exclusively pick Master Yi, then I'm guaranteed to play Leona. But I hear what you're saying. That it is, yeah, need to shorten it a bit.
Yeah, but I love that logic. Like, you just named 3 great champs. Like, I think Milio and Nami kind of do more of the same thing. So I would say you just play whichever feels strongest or feels like your best. And then your Lulu Braum are like, your Lulu is because it's so OP, and your Braum is, the counter pick support. And I think, there you go. You've got 3 champs, but they all have a place. So you might be playing like 70% of your games on Lulu, and then it's like 10% on Milio, 20% on Braum. That's fine, because you're still like really developing 1 champ, and then you've got your other 2 champs for like the niche situations or when Lulu gets banned, etc., etc. So that's how I'd look at your champ pool if you're wanting to play kind of 3. You still have your dominant champ that you think's the strongest and you think you're the best on and you can win the most games on. And then you have your more niche picks for the situational matchups and, pick bans. Awesome.
Yeah.
So in terms of in-game, I think one of the things you've got to work on is your gold difference at 15. I know Enchanter supports are typically going to be behind gold. But, you can see your Milio as an example. Look how much more gold it's behind than, let's say, your Lulu. So I think if you are going to keep a champ like Milio, you're going to have to start reviewing with yourself or with a coach your laning phase and what's going wrong here. Again, it's a small sample size, so like 12 games. I don't want to make too many conclusions off 12 ranked games. I'd much rather look at this data at like 30 to 40 ranked games and make a proper decision, because then everything gets weeded out. You could have had 5 inting 80 carries in a row or like, whatever. But after 30, 40 games, that all kind of gets evened out statistically. That's one of the things I'd really work on, like your Lulu as well. There's no reason you can't be plus 200 gold as a Lulu. So I think laning phase is somewhere you can get a lot of wins on. And this review, I'm not going to be able to diagnose what's going wrong in laning phase, but your options really are to improve that are, self-reviewing if you're able to identify, but you kind of said you don't know what you don't know. So that might only get you so many results, but then having an expert come in and review your laning phases together. I think your control wards are a little low, like the fact you're only purchasing 2.7 control wards a game. Ideally, you want to be kind of buying a control ward for every 5 minutes of game time. So if the average league game goes for like 28 to 30 minutes, you should be buying, around 6 control wards, I would say, as a support.
I'm always trying to rush my items, so that's why it's quite low. But I get you,
Yeah, I think particularly after your first item, you should be buying like. I would recommend, you're buying a control ward after every recall is almost how I could even look at it. And I never meet a support who buys too many control wards. I've never met them in my life. So I think you can definitely go for a rule like I'm buying a control ward after every recall if I have the money, after I buy my item. So if you complete your Moonstone and you've got 75 gold, well, that's a control ward. So like always buy the control ward after. but never leave base with more than 75 gold, and you don't have a control ward in your inventory.
Okay.
Cool. And then in general, like, you've probably got a lot of in-game stuff that coaching can definitely help with, but you know, I don't know if that strategy is gonna fix in-game issues, but I think you've now got a bit of an overarching strategy of how to kind of climb in League of Legends.
Yep, perfect. No, I'm definitely gonna take these and try to apply them in the game. Get some more control wards and minimize the champion pool a little bit.
Yeah, excellent. And then you said you were interested in coaching. Are you kind of looking for a coach at this stage, or what's kind of your thought process around that?
So right now the gains have been relatively okay.
Yep.
It hasn't been like I'm stuck in a rut. But if I'm getting to a point where I'm really like, okay, well, I've been stuck in Emerald 4, Emerald 3, for quite a few games now, maybe 10 to 15, then I'm gonna be like, okay, let me get into some coaching. Maybe it's beyond just like the game sense, because I've noticed I can get pretty far without having to be too mechanically intensive. Not to say that I just play Yumi and sit on someone, but
Yeah.
I think maybe there are some micro things that I can work on. Then I'll probably get some coaching for that.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, let's stay in touch. I'll also send you a link to our we host live weekly boot camps in our Discord as well. I'll give you a 7-day free trial to that if you do want to join those. It's just $2.99 a month after that, but I'll send you that link as well, because we also do VOD reviews in there as well. So if you've never had coaching before, you'll get an opportunity to get like a 30-minute review with one of our coaches, and you can kind of see how much you learn in a session like that, almost like a try before you buy like a proper coaching session. But I'll send you that link. If you're interested, you can sign up and give it a go. But yeah, I think that's a really good plan. Waiting until you kind of hit that barrier and then getting an expert in to kind of review what's exactly going wrong. Build a plan of, these are the 5 things you need to fix. This is how you fix them. Here's your homework. Let's, check in and again in like 2 weeks. Yeah, I think that's a really good approach.
Yeah, perfect. Also, I think that the $2.99 strategy, I didn't see it on the website, but I think that's definitely more affordable for
Yes.
now.
Yes, I'll link you that. We also have a $14.99 a month that guarantees you a coaching slot every month, like a 30-minute review. But the $2.99 a month, we also do coaching. It's just not guaranteed, and it's not as often. So, if you are wanting to get coaching in the next like month or so at an affordable rate, I'd say the $14.99 a month, but start at the $2.99 and just go from there.
Hey, perfect. Thanks, Dylan.
No worries. Good luck, SK, and let's stay in touch. Even if you don't ever want to get one-on-one coaching, I'm really keen to see your journey. And yeah, I'd love to know when you get into that SA team, because that'd be sick.
Thanks so much. We'll definitely keep in touch, man.
No worries. See you later.